Hey everybody! I'm here today to teach you how to knit a basic ribbed scarf. And I'm also rocking my favorite knitted vest. I did not knit this. I got this at a thrift store somewhere some years ago, but it's like one of my favorite things and I don't know why, I just love it so much. But yeah, knitting has become one of my all-time favorite things to do. As a creative person, I just feel like it's become my little sanctuary time. I love how I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. I love that I'm making things that are useful and have that handmade charm to them. I love picking out the yarn. I love looking at patterns and making mistakes and learning how to fix them, and just how meditative it can be, how it keeps me off of social media and helps me to remain very present in my life. And also, I have a hard time sometimes sitting still, so it's a really nice thing to be able to, at the end of a day, when everything that I've done is accomplished, I can sit down with a cozy blanket and a hot cup of tea and just knit a few rows and create beautiful things. I'll show you some of the things I've made. Most recently, most recently, I knitted this Vila beanie. The pattern is by Jenny Noto, and it is a really sweet, super bulky weight yarn. It's for my niece, and it has this great floral motif. There's like these little tiny puffy flowers in there that are just so sweet, and it has these long lines that go around the beanie. It actually looks great in one color, and I admit I've already ordered some yarn to make some more. But I thought it was like such a cute, like chunky, bulky, squishy hat. And then I made this, it's called the Thunderbird hat. It's also by Jenny Noto, who creates patterns, and I just like her patterns. And I'm still kind of a beginner knitter myself, believe it or not. And so I haven't delved into a lot of other types of patterns, but hats have been really enjoyable for me to make. This one has a lot of cable work, just like this right here. And then this is one that I knitted for myself, same. And this is one that I knitted for myself. And then I have, it sounds like I just make things for myself. I actually don't. I've given away so many things, but this is one that I made for my best friend as well. And so like we each have one. Although Taj looks really good. That's my husband. He looks really good in this one, so he might be wearing it a lot. But I love knitting because, yeah, you get to create things that are useful, that help keep people warm, that you can pass down. Somebody knows it took a lot of time and effort for you to make that thing. And I don't know, just all of those things combined are why I love knitting. And you could just never stop learning. You could never stop developing skills, and I love things like that. So anyway, we're gonna be making a ribbed scarf. This is what I learned on, and I actually started this project. I've been working on it for maybe 2 days. So this is how far I've gotten. So the ribbed pattern is really classic and really nice, and it's nice and squishy, and it will be beautiful at some point when it's finished. And the cool thing about a scarf is that you can knit and knit and knit until it's as long as you want it to be. And so it's pretty easy too. You only need to know 2 stitches, and then you'll also learn how to cast on, which is the process of putting the stitches onto a needle. And then you'll learn how to bind off, which is the process of getting those stitches off of the needle. And those are essential skills. So you'll learn cast on, bind off, then you'll learn how to knit and how to purl. And those are both 2 stitches that are very prevalent in knitting. As you can see, there's this little thing on the tips of my needles, and this is a great tool to have if you want to stop knitting and secure your work. It helps it so that your work doesn't fall off the needles. So I found that little tool to be very helpful. You'll need a pair of scissors to cut your yarn. You'll need a skein of worsted weight yarn, which I'll explain in a second. And then you'll need, this is an embroidery needle. So it's just a needle with a big eye, and you can use it to weave in the ends of your work. You'll have a tail. This is like the tail here, and then you'll have another tail at the end, and you can weave in your ends. And I'll teach you guys how to do all the things you need to know. And let's see. So when it comes to the yarn that you want to choose, I would highly recommend that you choose very basic, plain yarn. Nothing extravagant, nothing with crazy colors, nothing with a weird texture. Something that is basic, like one color worsted weight yarn. So worsted weight is kind of the middle ground in terms of the thickness of the yarn. Yarn can range from like this lace weight, which is very thin and fine, all the way up to this like extra super bulky stuff. And worsted weight, like I said, is in the middle, and it should say on your yarn if it's worsted weight or not. And you can check, and you can ask, and you can look in the description wherever you may be buying your yarn from. So you'll need a skein of worsted weight. As you can see, this is a ball. So a skein, it depends on the type of yarn, but they'll come in these various amalgamations, and a lot of times they'll get tangled if you just like knit from the skein. So one good practice that I've always done is learn how to make a yarn ball. So you basically find the end of your skein at home, and you start winding it up into a ball yourself, and then you make your own yarn ball. So then you can kind of see, is there any inconsistencies in the yarn? Is it going to get tangled when you're just working from the skein? It prevents all of those things. So making a yarn ball with your brand new yarn is a great thing to do. So if you decide to do this, get yourself your yarn, your worsted weight yarn, your basic color. Also, I suggest the basic color and nothing crazy, because you want to learn. So you want to learn how to see like what the stitches look like on the needle. And once you start to see what they look like and you get the hang of knitting itself, then you can graduate into more funky yarns. But my serious suggestion as a beginner is to just get basic yarn. You'll thank me later. What else? So when it comes to your needles, you'll want a pair of straight needles. Now, straight needles are not rounded needles. Rounded needles are for knitting hats, because it keeps your circular shape. So we're knitting the scarf, so we don't need those. Anyway, you could technically knit a scarf on rounded needles, but we're gonna learn on these straight needles. And the cool thing, I don't know if I said this before, but if you can make a scarf, that means you can make a square or a rectangle, which means that you could technically learn how to make a pot holder or a blanket or towels or hand towels, kitchen towels, things like that. Because if you can do this, then you can do that. And so it's great to learn how to knit by making a scarf. What else? I think that's all you really need. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to share with you all. Yeah, like if you were to buy a skein of yarn like this with yarn that kind of has a waviness to it, it just might be kind of hard to see what you're doing as a beginning knitter. So that's why I don't recommend anything too funky. And then as far as like the color goes, if you use a yarn that kind of has a bunch of color in it, it depends on what it is, but it might be distracting you from seeing what you're doing. And the ribbed pattern, honestly, is just so classic and simple that it does look really nice in a basic yarn. And this one has the little flecks in it, which to me is like the craziest you want to go when you're just beginning. And again, this is what it's going to look like. And the hat will also have the same ribbed pattern to it. So yeah, so for those of you who had contacted me, because I know I share my knitting all the time on my Instagram page, many of you have said like, I want to learn how to knit. I wish I could knit. And I'm like, you could totally knit. I'll teach you how to do it. I'll just say, like, don't give up, hang in there. It's a new skill and you get better and better and better at it the more you do it. And it's totally normal to start and then make a mistake and mess it up and then start over again. And that's just how you learn anything, really. So I encourage you to stick with it. And yeah, before you know it, you're going to be knitting so many things. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this little series. I'm happy to offer it to all of you. And if you want to support me and my work, you can always visit my website, awomanofnature.com. I make tons of things. I create herbals and self-care for the whole family and seasonally, and that keeps me pretty busy most of the time. So yeah, one thing I will say is to be very careful, because once you start knitting, you might realize that you have a new addiction on your hands. Anyway, I hope that you really enjoy this video and that you learn something if you are brand new to knitting, and I hope that it's easy to watch and follow along and to see, and I look forward to seeing what you create. That's always the best part. And the next project that we're going to do is we are going to be learning how to make the ribbed hat that matches the ribbed scarf. So if you'd like to learn how to do that, I will be showing you how here as well in the coming weeks. Anyway, for now, goodbye and happy knitting.